This episode of Gather and Go is brought to you by Louisville Tourism. Picture yourself in the heart of Bourbon City, where the spirit of the South meets the rich heritage of Kentucky. From urban distilleries to one-of-a-kind attractions, this city offers a perfect blend of tradition and innovation. To plan your unforgettable group trip to Louisville, visit gotolouisville.com.
All right, everybody. My guest today is a longtime hospitality sales professional who is helping to tell the stories of America's Black travel history. After many years working for organizations such as the Pennsylvania Convention Center and the Pocono Mountains Convention and Visitors Bureau, he's now the Vice President of Business Development for the Green Book Experience and Executive Director of the Green Book Institute. David Jackson, welcome to the podcast.
Brian, thanks for having me.
I am delighted to have you today. Sounds like you have done just about everything there is to do in the tourism industry. Tell us how you found yourself transitioning into tourism, and then how that brought you to the Green Book work.
Well, it's funny. I had this conversation with a younger colleague of mine, and they asked that same question. I was 38 years old when I had my first official New Year's Eve off in my adult life.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we had just, my wife and I had just had our first child, a couple years prior. And it was time. It was time for me to kind of switch directions. And, I was in the restaurant and the convention center life, which is all encompassing if you know anything about it.
Yeah.
And that led me into the Convention and Visitors Bureau world. And I promoted Bucks County, Pennsylvania for 10 years, followed by the Pocono Mountains for additional 13 years. But for me, that was the top of the food chain in the hospitality industry. I no longer had to be the first one there and the last one to leave. But I already knew the language, how to talk to hoteliers, how to talk to conventioneers, how to talk to meeting and event planners. And it was kind of like a seamless transition for me. And I kind of never looked back.
Yeah. Fantastic. So you did that for a long time. What was the impetus for getting involved with the Green Book work?
The Green Book kind of came to myself, and I look back at it, Brian. I can be honest with you. Anything that I've ever done in my life that was really had any type of real push to it or really any emphasis to it kind of fell in my lap. Everything I really wanted to get and tried to get and pushed to get never seemed to pan out. And in this case it kind of fell in our lap. Now we were with post-COVID, my couple colleagues of I, we were downsized, or however you want to say it, but our departments were released from the Convention and Visitors Bureau world. Sales department at Pocono Mountains decided to go into a different direction. So it left me in a lurch as to, what to do. Do I continue, or do I really try something on my own, something different? And got a couple colleagues together, and we said, the industry's been really good to us. How can we give back? And we created a consultancy called KKD Tourism Consultants, which is Karen, Chris, and David.
All right.
And from there, we were given an opportunity to promote the Green Book through the Green Book Foundation. Black Meetings in Tourism magazine came to us and asked if we would assist in that project. And it was now it has become all encompassing. And that's really where we're at right now. We've changed partners, we've changed members, we've changed the branding of it, going forward, to give it its own identity. There are quite a few Green Book projects out there.
Yeah.
Ours we feel is different and holds a place because of our background in the travel and tour industry. So we're taking the data of the sites that are listed in the Green Book, and also including what new sites have been made available over the years.
Yeah.
And we do focus on BIPOC properties, Black, Indigenous, people of color. But the reason for it, because we want to keep the Green Book itself, we're sensitive to it, and what it meant, how important it was for folks to have such a what we call a hands-on Bible, if you would, in your vehicle, knowing what was a safe haven. So we want to take all this information and put it into a digital format and open it up to the world. A lot of this stuff is kind of underneath the radar. The individual locations, destinations have the information, but they promote it within themselves. There's no real one landing page for all of this nationwide and eventually internationally.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, it's a big endeavor, and that's why I say it's all encompassing.
Yeah.
But it's a worthy endeavor because we're committed to creating the stories that have yet to be told, helping out owners, business owners, and that had not really felt like they got a whole lot of push from the media. They don't have a whole lot of marketing dollars. So we think we are in a position now to help a lot of people and to open a lot of eyes and to show a part of America that really needs to be told. We want to hear the authentic stories, and we want to have fun doing it and to learn from it and to educate the next generation behind us, and to get the stories from folks that actually used it. And we're up against the clock there. They're in their 80s now. They actually used the Green Book.
Yeah. Tell us about the historic Green Book. Some people may be hearing about it for the first time. So what was the Green Book? What made it such an important thing in American history?
Well, you got to start with the name Green. Victor Hugo Green is his name. Gentleman from Harlem. And he was a postal worker. Saw a need. Any good business always sees a need. Found a need that, particularly in the Jim Crow era, traveling in the Deep South, wasn't always safe to go to certain areas or certain places. Why not create a directory that would identify such places that are safe to go, whether it be for lodging, whether it be for a meal, whether it be for entertainment, whether it be to get gasoline, which they called petrol at the time.
Yeah.
And he knew because he's dropping the mail at these places.
Yeah.
And so what places are safe and what places you may want to stay away from. Being a postal worker and the U.S. Postal Service being one of the biggest advocates for hiring African Americans, it creates a small army across the country are just feeding information as to these safe havens, and it grows and grows and grows and reaches all the way, coast to coast and into the Virgin Islands and, abroad, that it's now become something that I think it's 15,000 that had gotten prints at its final printing, which was in 1963.
Wow.
So some 1938, 39 to 63, this book keeps getting updated because businesses go out of business and some places get added on, and they want to maintain its integrity by something you could really trust.
Yeah.
Something that you felt you didn't want to leave home without putting it in your glove compartment.
Yeah. Sounds like it went all the way really up into the heart of the civil rights movement in the 60s.
That's when it would end it. And that was his goal. That was his original goal, that one day it wouldn't be needed. That something like this wouldn't, have to be in someone's car. I talked to my parents about it. They're in their 80s now, 84, and they used to travel from Pennsylvania down to Virginia, family and so on. And my dad said, we never owned a Green Book, but we knew what places we could stop and what places we should avoid in our journey. And I always remember a shoebox. He said, I said, what's with the shoebox? He said, and I always had grease stains in it because we used to pack chicken and we used to have, things, things to drink. And we even had, a bucket in case you had to relieve yourself, that whole thing. Because you just never knew, is what you're going to find yourself, what situation you may find yourself in. And he goes, the worst problem that we could ever have if you're traveling and you have any kind of stomach ailment. Because that can really get a little awkward, to say the least.
Yeah.
But to think about just something like that, you have to hear it from the folks that lived it.
Absolutely.
And that's why we're really up against the clock to get as many of these stories in, as well as planting these properties and facilities in the directory. So it's if you look at the book, if you look in it, they'll have sections for tourist homes. They call it. That's a heading, tourist home. That's your original Airbnb.
Oh wow.
Because folks are putting down their name and their home address as a place to stop. They don't know you, you don't know them, but they're putting their home out there and saying, if you're in town, if you're traveling through Greensboro, North Carolina, you would come to Miss Dottie Brown's house at 13 West Oakland Avenue, and there'll be a warm bed for you. And, and this went on and on. You could buy a copy of the book in your local church, or you could buy a copy down at the local gas station, Esso, which is now Exxon.
Yeah.
You could get a copy there. The exact price I'm not sure of at this moment, but they made it their price prohibitive. It made it worthy, to get this book. You wanted to have this book, and Victor Hugo Green put his life work into maintaining this book all the way up into the 60s, and it needs to be celebrated. There's stories upon stories to be told. We talked about Lyndon Baines Johnson as one example. Lyndon Baines Johnson became the president of the United States living in Texas, and he and his wife, Lady Bird, are now packing up their office in Texas and got to move to Washington, D.C. office, and they take their number one assistant, who happens to be an African-American woman, who happens to be their head chef, along with them for the ride. And on their way to Washington, they're appalled at how many places would not allow them entrance or not allow them to use their services, as long as they had this African-American woman in their presence.
Wow.
They arrive in D.C., and the story, he becomes the number one civil rights activist in the country.
Right.
Because he saw it firsthand.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
These stories and many more are yet to be told. They're not, in the forefront. You hear talk that they're not going to be talked about in our school system. So it's got to be an avenue. It happened. It's real.
Right.
It's not made up. But why not experience it for yourself?
Yeah.
Where do we begin? We have to go through several websites to get all this information, or can we go to one source?
Yeah. And that's what you guys are doing, right? You're gathering stories, you're cataloging sites, and putting it all in one place where travelers can find it and learn the history, and also find ways to interact with it in the 2020s. Is that right?
Exactly. We've kind of broken it up into pieces because it is a major project. There's a piece of us, we have a company a platform that just recognizes if you're traveling solo or with family. And then another platform that recognizes if you're traveling with a group of 10 or more. So we can now divide those properties that are out there that can handle groups and those that can't.
Yeah.
And you make your decisions from there, set up an itinerary, and the goal is to be able to put pins on the map and open up for you and give you the directions and give you the hours and the phone number if you need to reach them directly, and set your tours up that way, and no one's doing it. Because I mean, again, I see why. I haven't gotten into the project now. It's a lot of work. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, but it's a worthy work. When we first started, I did a similar interview when we first began, and the interviewer said it's either one of two things: either starting a business during COVID, you're either crazy or genius. And really made me think. I'm like, am I crazy? Is this crazy? But every time you want to even think about slowing down or maybe moving in a different direction, it seems like the project rewards you with another reason to keep going. For example, we're given information that George Benson had written a theme song. George Benson, the famous singer, writer, producer, written a theme song for the project.
Yeah.
And, so that's sitting there in the archives. There's legal teams now trying to get the Green Book on Broadway.
Wow.
And so just when you think, oh boy, we just, when we got news that, the Institute, our nonprofit side had gotten its full 501c3, it's, we got to keep going. We got to stop, it won't allow us to stop because it is important. And this next generation there's a lot of this generation, the younger kids, they don't realize what their forefathers endured.
Right.
And I was always taught that in order to know where you're going, you got to know where you've been.
Yeah.
And if you start erasing history, that leaves everybody vulnerable and a chance for things to occur again.
Yeah.
But so open it up. Now, the education and the camaraderie that you find, that's what you find, that we're more alike than not, but let's see it for ourselves.
Yeah. So speaking of history, have you guys found in your research some historic places that were in the original Green Book that are still travel businesses, still open for visitors, and that are actively telling that story of their past in addition to serving meals or giving people, accommodations?
You're going to have properties that were in the original Green Book that are operating and didn't know it.
Wow.
And didn't realize it, that they were listed, or thought they may have been listed, but you can't find it. You can't find the evidence toward it, So that's the investigative work that we do. You could say that in the 1938, you were a hotel, but then you go back to that same address now, and that hotel is now condominiums or an apartment building, something like that, or an open lot, or super Walmart. I mean, it can, it varies all across the board. One of the staples is the YMCA. A lot of them are still operable. And we have a lot of fun when we go out and we meet the public and we start showing them examples of what the Green Book looks like. Initially, they get excited because the first thing you do is you pick it up and you start leafing through the book to see your hometown. It's just inevitable. And, to see their eyes light up, and then to go down, I know that address. I recognize that address. Hey, that place is still there. I'm sure. I mean, that hotel is still, so we get a lot of information that way as well.
Yeah.
But it's something that it's almost like an old story that's brand new.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the new parts that you guys are really active on is partnering with other organizations to sort of expand the cultural tent and highlight some cultural sites related to other cultures. So tell us some about the people you're partnering with and the sites that they are bringing to the index.
Yeah, we have we deal very strongly with the indigenous community, and we like to start to open up some lanes for folks to visit their destinations as well. it's something I've always been interested in. And my great grandmother was a Seminole, 100% Seminole,
Oh, wow.
from Florida. And as a kid, I'd see this woman hanging up on the wall in my grandmother's house with these long pigtails. And I'd always, so one day I just asked, who is that? Says your great grandmother, and she's Native American. And so it's always been in my heart. Now this opened up a gate so we can really put our money where our mouth is and say, you know what, there's some opportunities here too, because a lot of stories to be told, and we're the ones that can actually do it, because there's a lot of sensitivity involving going to destinations that may on a reservation or something like that, where they're sacred lands, so as much information as you can get going into those properties and those destinations, and it's better. For example, you could bring in a group of guests on some native land and somebody spit on the ground, and all of a sudden everything shuts down, as sacred land. I knew, someone could say, I knew we shouldn't have allowed anybody to come and see this, and we don't want that.
Right.
Now, we want it to be true, we want it to be authentic, but we also want to be sensitive to what's available. My partner, Karen Aaron, deals a lot closer in the Native American side of it in terms of actual venues that we're speaking with. I know we had the Cherokee Nation. We awarded them the Pioneer Award for travel, Green Book travel recently, along with the YMCA, along with the Ford Motor Company, along with the ExxonMobil. These folks were in the original Green Book. We wanted to take a moment and say thank you for what you did. Thank you for sponsoring such a book, even when it wasn't popular to do so. And we even did a gentleman who had opened up a local Black History Museum in Huntsville.
Yeah.
Huntsville we visited. And it went over really well. It was our first attempt at it. And, we want to keep things up to date and fresh as well.
Yeah.
We also want to recognize the past and not move away from it.
Yeah.
Our indigenous folks, we can, we're dealing with what we call cultural travel. So we are open, we're open for the BIPOC community to really showcase themselves in a new and fresh way that perhaps, may have eluded them in the past.
Yeah.
And, so right now we're working with various destinations to take that information and give it to us so we can put it up and promote it and actually bring people to your area.
Yeah.
It's a new revenue stream.
Talk to us about that potential impact that opening up cultural tourism can have on communities, minority communities, historically marginalized groups. What does that represent for them?
Fresh start. It's like manna from heaven. It's like, oh my goodness, this is great. We've been promoting ourselves. We've been doing the best that we can, but now you're saying you can now promote us to a national audience, and folks that are coming into town that didn't even know we existed can now maybe extend their tourism trip or even come to the area because of us. Whether it be a museum, a festival, the hot new soul food restaurant in town.
Yeah.
And you can quadruple that by adding in overnight lodging packages and walking tours that perhaps they didn't know existed. This is a new day. It's a new revenue stream. We have the assets. Now we can also promote and bring up a portion of our destination that perhaps has been underserved. And a lot of them admit it, it have been underserved. We haven't done a lot with it. That now you're giving us a platform to say, yeah, we're open for business, just like the Green Book did originally. We're open for business. You're safe, and you can have, you can come and learn, have fun, and tell your friends about it.
Yeah. So we have a lot of tour operators in our audience who I'm sure would love to kind of start to dig into this resource and use it to inspire future trip plans. How do they go about doing that? What's the practical process like for them to tap into these materials?
Right now, we're asking them to go the group side of our platforms, which we collect,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called Supplier Link. So if you go on our website and look up greenbookexperience.com, you'll see a tab that says sign up for Supplier Link. Go in there as a tour operator, sign up, and then that way you'll be made available of this information as it grows. As the data grows, you can grow with it, and you'll have access at no cost to you. We want to make this as accessible as possible. That's the way I would suggest as an operator, if you're so inclined. And I think everyone would at least want to have a portion of that in their portfolio,
Yeah.
offering that they can use for both individual trips or organizations, family reunions. You have your alumni services. Everybody can have a piece of this, and as an operator, I would want to have something like this available to me that I reduces the amount of work I have to do.
Absolutely. That's a win-win. So how many different listings is an operator going to find if they log in and start looking at that?
Well, it's still growing. But yeah, you're definitely going to find primarily places to visit, places to that are able to accommodate groups that if you needed something with meals attached, it'll condense it down so that it makes your search a lot easier. If you need somewhere with free parking, if you need another destination that's open on weekends, that type of thing. That's really where we're looking to help and to support, even letting folks know that, certain areas have special Groupons on Wednesdays where you can get in with no charge. You wouldn't know that otherwise.
Yeah.
And you're planning your trip around that, or suggests you make reservations a month in advance, as opposed to you can show up without advance notice and still have accommodations. These are things when we're working with 50 or plus people, the details matter.
Yeah.
So as much information as you can get. That's why I say, sign up, get yourself into the system first. And then as the system grows around you, it'll transform some of the ways that you're planning your trips and tours moving forward.
Yeah. What about somebody who works for CVB, like you used to, who says, hey, I think we've got 3 or 4 places in town that should be on this list. How do they go about working with you guys to get that highlight?
Yeah, I go again. There's an opportunity to go on Green Book and website and request information, or in this case, request a meeting with us where we can, set up, talk about it, get you tied into our tech folks and show you exactly how to download this information. And we eventually, phase 2, we want to be able to have some of the properties even offer audio bits on them. So you click on it, it'll give you a little brief, summary of what they're about and their history, that type of thing, 30 seconds worth. And there's so much new frontier to be covered with this. But right now is the time, particularly from the group side, to get it in because it's being downloaded at no cost to the destination. Now,
yeah.
all right.
Yeah. And that may change in the future.
It'll always be like that. Right. Now's the time to get in and get your voice heard and really, promote your members or non-members now. You have an opportunity now to maybe showcase some facilities that you didn't have much for in the past, that now you can really let folks know, hey, why haven't you been here? Didn't you know that we have, all these assets? And people are like, yeah, why haven't we been there? Let's go next month. Let's plan something out. Now it's exciting because, and it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wonderful. So, David, what's the best way for people to either follow you or follow the organization online to, stay abreast of what's going on and hear news and stay in touch?
Well, we got the LinkedIn, we got the Facebook. I always say go to the web. Go to the website. Instagram. Go to the website, and that was going to answer a lot of your questions. We spent a lot of time on that. If you want to get the history on us, we have great videos. We've done commercials. We've done interviews. We have opened up some opportunities for folks to share their stories. We have a new section in our web portfolio, which is called I've Been There. I've Been There is where you can go on and say, guess what? I've been to these places in the Green Book, and this is what we found, and it's exciting. You should go to, and just don't go on Tuesdays because, that kind of stuff. And it starts conversations and it keeps it real.
Yeah.
It keeps folks connecting with one another. And we're really one big community all coming together. And we're just given, we're given a new vision for how you plan your travel. And it's kind of mocked up from how it was done back in the 30s. It can be done now, but with even newer and fresher material to work with.
Yeah. Yeah. Great ideas. Well, David, I could talk to you about this all day. I want to let you go, but before we do, we have some questions we ask everybody, and these are just for fun. So no pressure. You can just answer off the top of your head. When you travel, do you book a window seat or an aisle seat?
I prefer window.
Yeah. Just like that view?
Yes, sir. I like it. Plus, I'm pretty long leg, and my legs always stick out in the aisles, and I've gotten hit by more than one beverage tray.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's no fun. So what is one thing in your carry-on that you wouldn't travel without?
Good question. One thing in my carry-on, I wouldn't travel without. Oh, my goodness. Oh boy, that's a good one. My adapter to keep my phone plugged in. Yeah. I wouldn't leave without that.
That's one of those things where if you accidentally leave it at home, you're stopping at a store somewhere.
You'll get
to get another one.
Buy one. Yeah, no doubt about it. And that's happened to me more than once.
Yep, me too. Me too. So if you had a free airline pass and a week with nothing else to do, where would you be headed next?
Oh, somewhere warm, man. Yeah, I'm going to the Virgin Islands or somewhere. Yeah, wow. just for a minute, just to white sand, to the clear water. Yeah, just for a minute. Just I don't need a whole lot. I'm from the Northeast. I could take the cold, but it's something about that heat when it gets on you, it changes your whole attitude.
Thaw you out for a couple of days, right?
Yeah, it's just for a couple of days.
Yeah. Well, our last question is, what's one thing you have seen or done on the road that you wish you could go back and experience again with somebody you love?
Oh, man. It's funny because, I've traveled to most every city around the country, but, and again, I'm from the Philadelphia area, but driving into New York City, and you got a little soft jazz going in. It's just something about it. that, and you're with someone that you really care about going into it. It's a special time. That comes to mind first.
Nothing like it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
David, thanks so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Brian Jewell, it's been my honor. Thank you on behalf of the Green Book family, and we thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us for this interview. I want to let you know that conversations like this are just part of what you will hear if you tune into a full episode of the Gather and Go podcast. When you listen, you'll get travel news you may not hear anywhere else, along with some really helpful road tips, some smart analysis, and maybe even a hot take from me about issues that are impacting travel right now. Now, you can hear this full episode along with many others by searching for Gather and Go in your favorite podcast player, or you can click on the link right below this video or one of the videos right here to my side. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.